In today's lesson, we are going to be looking at conjunctions and how to use conjunctions in our writing. So what are conjunctions? Conjunctions are words that can link and join words together or sentences. Think of conjunctions like a jigsaw puzzle. I have my first part, my conjunction and my second part. My first part would be my first sentence or my first word. Then I use a conjunction in the middle. And then my second part would be my second sentence or my second word. The conjunction goes in the middle and links the two together, exactly like a jigsaw piece. Here are some common conjunctions that you will have seen. And, for, or, but, yet, so, when. Before, since, as, although, because, that, if. Until, though, unless, also, while, whenever, once. What do the conjunctions mean and how do we use them? We use and when we're linking two similar ideas together. We use but when it's two very different ideas. And we use so to give a reason or a purpose. Let's see how that would look in a sentence. First, let's have a look at the conjunction and. My first sentence is, Amy came to my party. Ends in a full stop. My second sentence, Zara came to my party. Again, ends in a full stop. These are two different sentences. Now let's see if I can use a conjunction. I am going to use the conjunction and. I take my first part, which is my first sentence. Amy came to my party. I then use my conjunction. And I then link it with my second sentence. I then need to end my sentence with a full stop. So now, using a conjunction, you can see I have joined the two sentences together. So my sentence now reads, Amy came to my party and Zara came to my party. Now let's see how we can use but. My first sentence, Miss Hannah is strict. My second sentence, Miss Myra is kind. They are talking about teachers, but they are talking about two very different ideas. One teacher is strict, the other teacher is kind. Now, let's see if I could use the conjunction but with my sentences. So I take my first sentence, I use my conjunction, I then put my second sentence. But I also need a full stop at the end. So I have, Miss Hannah is strict, but Miss Myra is kind. Now let's see how I would use the conjunction so. My two sentences, write down the number. We don't forget it. I take my first sentence, my conjunction of so, my second sentence, and I end in a full stop. So my sentence now reads, write down the number so we don't forget it. These are coordinating conjunctions. We use these when we have two sentences that make sense on their own. We can remember coordinating conjunctions by fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Let's have a look at some more conjunctions. What do the conjunctions mean and how do we use them? Because, since and as. These are giving a reason or explaining something. After, before and when, these are a moment in time. Now let's see how I would use them in a sentence. Here are my two sentences. I sat down and I was tired. Now I'm going to use the conjunction because. I take my first part, my conjunction, my second part, and end in a full stop. I sat down because I was tired. Now for this, you could also use since. I sat down since I was tired. And you could also use as. I sat down as I was tired. Sometimes, when we use a conjunction in our writing, we can use more than one. So when you are writing and you've already might have used because, if this was your second sentence and you wanted to use a different conjunction, you could. Now let's have a look at the conjunctions after, before and when. I've got, I'll go to the shops. I've finished eating. Now, I've finished eating doesn't really make sense on its own. So let's see how we would do this. I take my sentence. This is what we call a main clause. This would always come first, and this is the part that makes sense on its own and is a sentence. I'll go to the shops. I could then use the conjunction after, and then I would put what we call our subordinating clause. This is the part that doesn't make sense. Then we end our sentence with a full stop. So I have got, I'll go to the shops after I've finished eating. Again, just like before, I could change after to before. So I've got, I'll go to the shops before I've finished eating. Or I could even use the conjunction when. I'll go to the shops when I've finished eating. These type of conjunctions are called subordinating conjunctions. We tend to use these when we have a main sentence that makes sense, such as I'll go to the shops. And then when you've got a phrase that supports the main sentence and adds extra information, such as I've finished eating.